Hi, I'm Danielle, Santos Bernal. I'm a friend of Chuckles. So she wanted me to tell some stories. So I guess I'll start off with Cigarette Willie. My stepdad was a heroin addict, and he was strung out pretty bad, and my mom and my stepdad had beat me pretty bad, and we were living in Pomona, and my real dad had died of a heroin overdose when my mom was 3 months pregnant with me. So she got together with another drug addict, and he was pretty heavily in his disease. And when they beat me, he was loaded, and my real dad was like a gangbanger, and they had put a hit out on my stepdad to kill him. And my aunt told my mom that you better take Danielle and get out of town because they're going to kill John, my stepdad, and take Danielle from you. So my mom tells my dad, like, we got to get out of town. And they come up with this plan to leave Pomona to go to Key West, Florida. And I'm like, I'm old enough to know that's fucking far. And we took a Greyhound because my parents are poor, they were working class poor. And they took a bus from Pomona to Miami, and my stepdad kicked heroin on the bus ride. And then we got on a little fucking plane in Miami with propellers. And this was in the 70s, and we flew to this island, and it was Key West. I remember getting off the plane. It was fucking hot, like not the kind of hot that is heat hot, but it was like a heavy hot, like humid. But I didn't know what humidity was, right? And it was a beautiful island, and we lived with my step grandparents, Walter and Adelaide. And my grandfather was an artist. He had hung out with Ernest Hemingway at Sloppy Joe's bar and did a watercolor of Sloppy Joe's bar, which still hangs in the Hemingway house. And I loved him. And where I used to sleep was in his painting room, so I would sleep with smelling of the oil paints, and so I really, and in the back of their house was a canal, and that's where I learned how to swim. My stepdad threw me in the canal, and sink or swim, motherfucker, So I learned how to swim really good, really quick, and I fell in love with the ocean. And I think we'd been there a couple years, and my mom would let me run the island like an island child, and she could whistle, and the island was so small that I could hear her whistle, and I knew it was time to come home. So one time, it was sunset, and if you ever saw a Key West sunset, there's nothing like it. It's the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen, and they closed the island down back in the day, and everybody would go to the beach, and it would be a festival every night for the sunset. And it was right before sunset, and before I had to go home, and I saw this guy crying and looking at the sun, and he was a bum. And I go, why are you crying? He's all, 'cause I'm sad. I'm like, are you hungry? Because I only thought, I never
knew. The only time you cry.
I didn't know, old people cried, and I didn't know, sadness, you are sad when you're hungry, you're sad when your toys get taken away, that kind of sadness, kind of happy sad, So I go, do you want to come eat at my house? I could ask my mom. And he's all, that will be nice. And he had an unlit cigarette in his mouth, and I'm like, okay. So I hear the whistle, I come home. I go, Mom, can my friend Willie come over to my house and eat tomorrow? So yeah, your friends are always welcome. I'm like, yay. So right after school, he always hung out at the beach. I go, Willie, my mom said you could come eat at my house. We're having tacos. And my mom's Mexican. And we were the only Mexicans on the island because it was mostly Cubans, because we were 90 miles from Cuba. And he's okay, so I'm walking hand in hand with his bum. His name was Cigarette Willie. And I go to the house, I go, Mom, this is my friend Willie. My mom goes, get in your room. I'm like, and I see her fixing the plate and just gives it to him. I'm like, where did Willie go? So, you cannot hang out with bums. I'm like, what's a bum? People that don't have jobs, that live out the streets. I'm like, that doesn't sound so bad to me. That sounds like fun. And so it is not fun. And our upstairs neighbor was named Stella, and she worked for the mayor of Key West. And the mayor of Key West back in the day was gay, you know. So I grew up in this island where gay was cool, and I didn't know any better of sexuality or just you love people, that's all good, you know. So Stella's like, my mom I could hear them talking, you know. Danielle brought home this bum, you know. He's like, I don't even know, like 80 or something. And so, oh, did he have an unlit cigarette in his mouth? And my mom's like, yeah. So, oh, that's Cigarette Willie. He's harmless, you know. There's a folklore behind him where like he was a kind of a rich guy, and he fell asleep in a recliner or something couch, and his home burnt down, and his 2 kids and his wife died in the fire. So he would roam around the island and cry with an unlit cigarette in his mouth.
No way, that doesn't even sound real.
I know, right? But like, that's what was his. That's how everybody knew him, was Cigarette Willie, you know. And my mom came into my room and she said it was okay for me to hang out with him. And he wouldn't talk to anybody, but he always talked to me, and I think maybe because he thought I was just a kid, and you know, I wasn't gonna hurt him or anything. But I remember just like sitting on the shore, and at that time it was the Cuban refugee crisis, and like they had all these like makeshift boats and shit, and they kind of made a chain link fence around the island so the Cubans couldn't come in because they were all criminals, you know. But I really liked them because, like, you know, I was asked Willie, like, how do they make those boats? Like, you know, they were like rafts, and I was like really intrigued by that, and he would like kind of explain stuff to me, you know. And like I had a friendship with him for many years, like until I left the island when I was 11, you know. And you know, about 6 months later, I met this woman, and her name was Karen, and she had dreadlocks. She was 30 years old, and she was really nice. And I go, Mom, can my friend Karen come over to eat? My mom's all, Karen, yeah, you know, like it's at least a girl name. And so Karen knocks on the door. Some 30-year-old woman comes over to the house to eat, you know. And my mom's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck? But you know, they ended up being friends until we left the island, because Karen was this like incredible photographer and was just an amazing artist. And my parents were like, ended up being really, they'd smoke. My mom never smoked weed, but my dad smoked weed. And they'd get high, and like, you know, our home in Key West looked like the Carole King Tapestry album. It was like all pillows and a cat, and you know, we didn't have TV. We just listened to Cheech and Chong records, and you know, like that was my life, you know. And it was really cool to be able to grow up on an island like that before it got all blown up and, you know, commercialized. And you know, I met a lot of crazy people that kind of formed me as to be the adult that I am. You know, my grandfather always said, you know, the worst thing you can do to somebody is judge them. You know, he always told me that. But I never understood that until I started getting judged pretty hard, you know. And it was the best, like, growing up history that I could have even thought of, like this island. And, you know, I remember when I was a kid, you know, my friend Clifford, he lived 2 doors down, and his mom had died. And I never heard of a mom dying before, you know, like that was the weirdest thing. And it was show and tell. And he had taken Polaroids of his mom in her coffin. And he raised his hand for show and tell. And he's like, I have some, my teacher was named Mr. Purdy. And Mr. Purdy, I have something I can show. And he's like, what do you got, Clifford? My mom died, and I took pictures of her in her casket. He's like, oh. No, Clifford, you can't really show those. And I remember like looking at Clifford, and I'm like, hey, Clifford, can I see those after class? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So we all like went by Clifford's house, and like I never saw a dead person before, and she looked really pretty. I'm like, are you sure she's dead, Clifford? Because like she doesn't look dead. Like she has lipstick on and stuff. Like who put lipstick on her? Like, you know, like
so many questions.
Like I didn't know, you know, and it was so innocent, you know, like. And Clifford was more intrigued by his mom not looking dead. Like, maybe I don't think she's dead, you know. But it was so sad, you know, because he was so young, you know. And like Clifford was my friend too. And then we lived across the street from this place called the Pendleton House, and I lived on Newton Street. And it was this beautiful house, and had a cistern, and underneath was, and I don't really know if it was vacant, but I would go down there and ride big wheels in the wine cellars. Ooh. With my friend. And we'd have like fucking rad times and drink some wine, you know, like I'd be drunk. I was like maybe 9. And my mom didn't know I was drunk, you know, like, so where were you? I was like, oh, across the street playing. She never asked where I was playing at. And then one day she's like, where are you playing at? I'm like, the Pendleton house. I was like riding big wheels in the so who are you playing with? I'm like, I don't know, there's a little boy there that
Oh no, don't tell me.
there's all Mr. Seha was our landlord, and so, oh yeah, Danielle's been playing with this kid down at Pendleton house, and they ride big wheels in the downstairs in the wine cellar. He looked at her like, nobody lives there. And my mom's like, what? He's like, yeah, nobody lives there. Who is she playing with? I don't know, some little kid. There's no little kids there. So I don't even know who the fuck I was playing with. Maybe some pirate kid or something. I don't fucking know.
But it was a kid. It wasn't a ghost, right? It was a kid.
Maybe a ghost. I don't fucking know. I don't know, but it was like the most beautiful home, and I was just playing in the house, and you know, my
Was there furniture in it?
yeah.
Wow.
It was like beautiful, and there's our house. The backyard had mango trees and banana trees, and our next door neighbors were lobster trappers, and we didn't eat lobster. Like, that was fucking gross, you know. They would always offer us lobster, and we're like, ugh. But I remember being really fucking scared at night, every night. And I would look out my window and I would see these fucking ghosts that were around. It looked like they were always in the same area. And they kind of looked like pirates almost. But I was like, and I would always go in my parents' room, and they would never let me sleep in the bed. So I would always sleep on the side of the bed, you know, like, I go, Mom, I saw these people in the back, and she's like, whatever, like, go play with your fucking friend in the whatever, you know. But me and my cousin Peter, I told him the story, and we were digging where I said the fucking ghosts were, and there was a fucking tombstone there. And I found like pieces of 8.
No way.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know if it was like pirates looking for their buried treasure, or like, but that's how like the island was, super haunted and crazy, you know. But I haven't went back since like the early 90s, and that was when it was really getting commercialized, and it wasn't the same kind of vibe, you know. But I remember just being really fucking scared at night, like this uneasy like feeling. But in the day it was beautiful, but night was always scary. And when we moved, my dad was working building the 7 Mile Bridge, so he worked construction. And when they finished the construction, you know, we had to leave back to the valley.
Yeah. Why did you have to go?
Because there's no work. Yeah, and by this time my mom had 2 other kids, and he got promised a job, and it fell through when we got back, and we lived in the projects in the valley in Canoga Park.
Did Cigarette Willie, did he not smoke?
He never smoked a cigarette. It was just unlit in his mouth. He'd roll around. He had dreadlocks, like, you know.
Did you find out if it was true about his family?
I never cared, you know, because I didn't want to know.
But was the rumor that his cigarette burned them down? Or?
That's why he punished himself every day. Oh. You know.
So Manchester by the Sea. They call
but I told I just asked my mom like 3 days ago if I'm making if I made this shit up, because you know when you get older, like, is that really true? Like, that sounds weird. I go, Mom, do you remember Cigarette Willie? She's like, yeah, the bum by the beach. I'm like, oh, okay, because I thought I made him up. So no, you didn't make him up. He rolled around the beach with an unlit cigarette in his mouth. I'm like, yeah, and we fed him food. And no, I fed him food. Yeah. But I go, he was my friend. Like, okay, that's true then. And Karen, I didn't make that up, right? So no, Karen was good. Like, yeah.
Did they stay friends with Karen, or Karen?
Yeah, Karen. I don't know. Once we left the island, it was weird. You know, like, because it was just culture shock for me. You know, I went from knowing I was gay, being raised on this gay island, and coming back to going to the projects, where I look like a dude. You know, even though I had long hair, I looked like a fucking dude, and I had a skateboard, and that was my only friend. So my dad got a job. He was doing some forklift shit, but there was like this gully behind it, and he would take me at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would just skate this gully all day long until he got off at 2, and then he'd take me home because I had no friends. I had my cousin Peter, but he would just get me in trouble.
He was on the island too, and then he came back with you guys?
Yeah, he came back.
Oh.
Because my mom's sister moved out there.
Do you still have relatives in Key West?
My Uncle Pookie, he was Cuban though. My Aunt Kathy married a Cuban.
Oh, and they're still there?
No, they got divorced.
Oh.
And he went back to the island, and my Aunt Kathy died of an overdose.
So Uncle Pookie's still there?
I think so, yeah. He was cool, man. He looked like he had an afro, and he had disco shoes, and he was like all discoed out, you know? He had like a gold chain. He was like really buff because he worked out all the time, and he showed me how to work out at a young age, you know? And I was 8 years old. I had a 16-year-old girlfriend named Becky. She was Puerto Rican and Cuban.
No way.
And everybody thought that was weird because, like, she's molesting you. But we didn't have sex. We just held hands and kissed. Like, I didn't know. Her mom had polio. You know, I'd bring her flowers and stuff. Like, you know, I didn't know. Like, I wasn't raised.
Did you fall in love with her, or she fell in love with you, or both? You guys
I don't know if it was love. I just think it was like a crush. You know, because by the time, you know, I had to leave, everything was so crazy. Like, you know, I didn't know what I was going to do or what I was getting myself into, you know. I go to this school, Limerick Elementary, and I was in 6th grade. My cousin Peter was in 5th grade. My mom would always make me lunches, and Peter, because his mom was like on drugs all the time and alcoholic, he would get lunch tickets. And I thought that was so cool. I would rather have lunch tickets than a sack of food, you know, but I'd sit down and Peter would eat my food. I'm like, why are you eating my food? You have the fucking lunch tickets, dude? He's like, yeah, but this guy, he takes my lunch tickets every morning. I'm like, just tell him not to do that. I didn't know what a bully was. I never fucking, you know, this kid name was Robert. And I go, dude, I'll talk to him after his class, man. Maybe I can say, like, you know, hey, don't take my cousin's lunch tickets because he eats my food and I'm hungry. He's big, Danielle. I'm like, how big could he be? I go talk to, he's all, that's that guy right there. I'm like, that fucking dude with a mustache? He's all, yeah, because he had been held back so many times.
Oh, no.
It was when they started taking kids from, like, busing kids in from inner cities, like, to go to, like, other schools, you know? And Robert was one of those kids. He had a bandana, a mustache. He was fucking trolled out, right? I'm like, dude, he looks like one of our uncles. I go, but I'll talk to him, you know? So I go up to Roberto. I say, hey, Robert, like, you know, you're taking my cousin Peter's lunch tokens. Can you just, like, not take them because he's eating my food? He's like, fuck you. I'm like, fuck you? Like, he's like, I'm going to fuck you up after school. I'm like, it's after school right now. He's all, no, tomorrow. Because he was getting on his bus. So I go to Peter. I'm like, dude, he said he's going to fuck me up after school. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, what am I going to do? This is your fucking shit, homie. And he's like, so I walk home and I'm like stressed out, man. Because I never fought before. Like, I never had to fucking do anything. Like, didn't know what a bully was. I didn't know shit. So I was like, in the middle of the projects, there was this basketball court. And underneath the nets was varnish. So I could skid out my skateboard. I grabbed the rail and just do 360s. And I was doing them for 2 hours, just like, trying to get out my being scared and shit. And there was this kid named Ray Ray. And he would look like Matt Dillon from Over the Edge. He had feathered hair, a pocket in his, and he had a BMX bike. And he was looking at me. He was like in 10th grade. He's all, Danielle, what are you doing? I'm like, Ray Ray, dude, I'm gonna get my ass kicked tomorrow. He's like, why? I'm like, this guy Robert, man. He's all, he has older brothers, huh? I'm like, I don't even know, dude. He's all, does he have a mustache? He's a cholo? I'm like, yeah, dude. He's all, you're fucked. His brothers are crazy too. I'm like, what the fuck? He's all, Danielle, do you know what nards are? I'm like, what are nards? He's all, they're balls. I'm like, what are balls? He's all, guys have them, and when you hit them, they hurt. I'm gonna show you how to fuck this guy up, but you have to do exactly what I say. I'm like, okay. So he's all, don't even give Robert a fucking opportunity to do anything. Just kick him in the nuts, and then when he bends over, punch him in the fucking face as hard as you can. Uppercut. And we'll pretend to do it right now. So we did it like 100 times in the middle of the basketball court under the moonlight, right? He's all, good luck. And he rides his fucking BMX back, you know. I'm like, thanks, Ray Ray. So the next morning I have to fucking get up and like all school I'm just like, oh fuck. So after school there's a circle of people because my cousin of course told everybody. And I had a skateboard friend named Bart. He was my best friend. And Bart's all, you're really gonna fight Robert? I go, I guess so, dude. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I have to go through the crowd and Robert's in the middle of the crowd doing stretches and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So when he's doing a stretch, I kick him in the nuts as hard as I can. And he bends over and I uppercut his ass. Bam! And he fucking goes on his knees and starts crying like a little bitch. And then fucking the principal comes and takes me away. And Robert's like crying. And we go to the principal's office. And he's crying like a little bitch, right? My mom didn't have a car at the time. And she had 2 kids under 5. And they're all, we called your mother. And right then I just started crying because I knew I was going to get my fucking ass beat. It was like, wait till your dad gets home, one of those things, you know? Because my mom had to walk to school with the kids, you know? And I'm sitting there and little bitch Robert's bleeding and shit. And he's like, why are you crying? I'm like, my mom's crazy, dude. I'm like, I'd rather be you right now. He's like, fuck you. I'm like, man, you need to shut up with your fucking shit, dude. I'm gonna fuck you up again.
Yeah.
You know? He's like, okay. So my mom comes in, and I guess Peter had told his mom, my Aunt Kathy, what had went down, and that the guy threatened me, and my mom comes into the fucking office and tells the principal, like, you know, fuck this kid. He's been bullying my fucking nephew, stealing his fucking lunch tickets, and then threatened my daughter, and my daughter was taught to defend herself. I'm like, yeah, thanks to Ray Ray. You know, and they said they expelled me for like a week. And Robert never came back to that school. Like, he was gone. And I was kind of like the Al Capone of Limerick Elementary School after that. People came with their little problems. I'm like, I got you. Like, no problem. Put your lunch token here. Not really. I didn't take anybody's lunch token. But I think that's how my reputation started getting kind of crazy, you know. And
when you got the power, the glory.
Yeah, yeah, I was like, eating it like fucking, like Pop Rocks. You know, like, I mean, I was a little asshole too. Like, you know, do you ever remember those Grease playing cards that you would get with the stale ass bubble gum in it? You know, and if you get enough of the cards, you can fucking like put a puzzle together, and it's the poster of Grease. You know, I only got like $0.25 a week for fucking, you know, for like allowance. So I'd save up that quarter and go buy a packet of them, and like I had like maybe 10 of them, right? And there's this kid next to me, man. He had the whole fucking thing. I just wanted to look at him. I'm like, man, can I look at your cards? He's all, no. I'm like, man, what a dick, dude. And he's all, that's all you have? And I'm like, yeah. He's all, well, let me see what you have. So I showed him mine. He's all, I have like 3 of those, 3 of everything that you have. And I'm like, damn, dude, like, I just want to look at your cards, homie. Like, so fine, you could look at the cards. And we're on the bus. I threw all his cards out the window. I go, now you have none. And I look back and they're all floating in the wind. Like, fuck you. And I had my 10. I go, I guess I got more than you now, huh? And I went and moved my seat and sat next to Peter. He's like, I can't believe you fucking did that. I'm like, fuck him. You know? And nobody would give me shit because, like, I'm unpredictable. You know? There was another time this dude pulled my hair and I punched him in the heart really hard. And he had a heart murmur. And I didn't know, and his heart stopped, and my mom had to come to the fucking office again. But he had pulled my hair, and I defended myself. I told Mom, he pulled my hair. Yeah, but he had a heart murmur, and like he had to go to the hospital. I'm like, they told my mom that. My mom's all, she didn't know that shit. You know? Right. And I didn't know how I was, you know, like, I started getting kind of cocky, you know. And do you know Fate Fatal from The Deep End? Joel, his name is Joel. So he was in the deep end, and it was like we're gonna graduate, but we had this Halloween thing, right, where we got to dress up. So I dressed like fucking Gene Simmons because I love Kiss, right? And I wore my Uncle Pookie's disco shoes, and like my mom made like, and I had long hair, so she like braided it, so when they took it out, I looked like fucking Gene Simmons. She put the makeup on me, made me an outfit. I was in the fucking Halloween parade at school. And then Joel, I went to elementary school with Joel. I didn't even know this, right? Joel's all, kiss sucks. And I fucking grabbed him. I threw him up against a tree and I kissed him. I said, kiss rules. I threw him down. I said, fuck you. And I walked away. And his band was playing at the garage, right? And my friend Tammy, do you know Tammy Germani? Tammy's like, was wearing a Kiss shirt. And he's like, nice shirt. And she's like, oh, you don't like Kiss? You like Kiss? He's all, I hate Kiss, dude. Like, there was this one chick in elementary school that dressed like Gene Simmons. And fucking, like, I told her, Kiss sucks. And she threw me on a tree and kissed me and said, fuck you. And I told Tammy that story. I get a call at 3 a.m. Dude. I'm like, what? You know Fate Fatal? I'm like, yeah. Remember that dude that you threw against a tree? I'm like, yeah, it's Fate. I'm like, what the fuck? I had been friends with him, but I didn't know that we went to elementary school together.
And he didn't recognize you either?
No, that don't look like I looked in fucking, I mean, it's fucking 40 years.
Did you reenact it? Traumatize it?
But to this day, he fucking can't stand Kiss because I did that shit. But that's like weird shit that happened to me, because sometimes I think these stories are just like, did I make them up But then shit like that happens. I'm like, no, you were a fucking asshole, Danielle. But, but it's not it wasn't that I was an asshole. It wasn't like I stuck up for myself, because I had to learn that behavior because if I didn't do it, nobody would, and, I mean, I got into a lot of problems in the projects, and Ray, thank God for Ray, man. He would be like, this is how you handle this shit, Danielle. He was like kind of the godfather, and I was like his little protege, like, because I would do what he said and it would work, There was a gossip crew that would always talk about my mom because we were super poor, but they were kind of like a little higher budget than us. But, there's always hierarchies in every subculture. Punk rock, there's always people that are more punk rock than you, or gothic, there's always people more scary than you, so in the project, there's like this hierarchy too, So they always sat at this one bench, right? So I go, Ray, do you have a wrench? He's like, what? What do you need a wrench for? I'm like, because I'm going to take all the bolts out of that fucking bench. So when those bitches sit down again in the morning to talk about my mom, it's going to fall. He's like, that's brilliant. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I snuck out and we fucking took the bolts out of the bench and fucking sure as shit that they went and sat on it. It collapsed like a motherfucker, And then I have my stepdad had a son. His name was Veron, and he came to stay with us for a summer, and he was super smart, and he got us all into Charles Manson. Like, he told us the Charles Manson stories, and this is in the late 70s, right? He's like, we have to warn the people that Charles Manson is going to come out of prison and he's going to kill everybody. I go, Veron, how are we going to do that? He's like, we have to write these notes that say Charles Manson is coming, but Jesus is going to save you. So we wrote 150 of those notes and put them in everybody's mailbox, thinking that we were doing a good deed. But it looks super creepy because it's in baby handwriting, like our handwriting. And I'm like, he's like, don't tell our parents because, we'll tell them when we save everybody. I'm like, okay. So we went and did that shit. People were running out of their houses like, what the fuck? Charles Manson's coming? Jesus is going to save us? What the fuck? And then my Aunt Kathy found some like that we'd thrown away because we didn't spell words right. And she's like, what is this? I'm like, yeah, we wrote those because like we're going to save people. So, do you know how fucking crazy this is? We're like, no. Dude, I got so beat for that shit. Dude, because I was like thinking that I was doing a good deed and like, but my brother Veron, he ended up being a Syrian Orthodox bishop. He went to like school in Harvard and like theology, master's degree, and that's another story. But he ended up passing away. But he was a great. You can Google him, Veron Ash, and YouTube him.
Does he have sermons on?
Yes.
Does he ever work Manson into the sermons?
No, I don't think he's he was quite a character, man. Like, he was gay as well. There's 5 of us in my family, like 5 siblings, and out of the 5, 3 of us are gay. And I ran away from home because I was gay, and I was getting beat, and I was an alcoholic, and I just couldn't stay out of jail. Like...
Do you get beat for being gay or just trouble making?
Both.
Really?
Because, like, after we left the projects, we moved to Santa Clarita, which is a desert town. And back in, like, we moved there in 1980, and it was just white people. And there's one black person in my high school, you know? And here I am, the fucking weird kid again, and I have to fucking reinvent myself, you know? And the only thing that I knew worked was fighting. It's the only thing, and I had to be smart about it. Take the top person down, whoever that is, you know? So I made friends with this woman, this kid named Andy. She was a kind of a gothic kid. And I was in like 7th grade, and there was this gang called the Saugus Sisterhood, and they were stoners, and they had cars. And they were threatening one of my friends, you know, who was nice to me. I said, they wanted me to Burger King. I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna get there? I go, I'll just skate, I'll skateboard, you know. And then, sure as shit, they pull up in this fucking old, like, Mustang, and these chicks were gnarly looking, man. They look like bikers, like, but they were in high school still. I was only in 7th grade. I had a Dogtown skateboard, and the one big one, I forget her name, Lori something. And she said, I'm gonna fuck you up to fucking my friend Andy. I'm like, no, you're not. I bashed her in the head with my skateboard real quick.
Real quick.
And she's like, she went down, and I went to hit her again, and her fucking friends picked her up, and they went in the car, and they took off. And everybody at Burger King was like, whoa. Like, they never saw that shit from a little kid like me, you know? But I had to do that to make sure it took care of high school for me. The only, like, year and a half I went. And then for junior high, it kind of took care of a little bit, but I had my first heartbreak in high school, or junior high.
What happened to Ray Ray?
He ended up fucking, going to this Santa Monica Pier and jumping off it, like, because he was a daredevil, man. He would build ramps and all kinds of shit on his BMX, you know. And he got me into BMXing as well. I was already into skateboarding, but it was a next level kind of thing, you know. We go to the dirt track together and stuff. But he had an accident where he broke his neck, and he was like a paraplegic. But once I left, I don't know if he ever walked again or anything.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
Let's look him up.
I don't know his last name.
Oh.
But he was so fucking, like, he was like the fox. You know, like, all the girls liked him, you know. And he really took to me, like, just as a homie because I skateboarded.
I bet you could find his name in, like, the yearbook online and then...
No, or maybe, I think he went to Canoga. I'm not sure what high school he went to, but he was a fucking good dude, man. I was really fortunate. Like, I'm not one of those man-hating butches, you know, because, like, the men that I pick to hang out with, they're super cool. You know, they don't treat women poorly, and if they do, I don't want to know them. You know, like, so I took a lot of, like, the good attributes of the men and the boys that I knew and hung out with and, like, kept them for myself, you know. But, and Ray Ray taught me that, you know. There's a lot of people in my life that, like, Lydia Ortiz, she was another one. She was, like, my butch godfather, you know, like, taught me the streets in Hollywood, you know. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be alive, you know. But when I moved to Santa Clarita, there was a girl named Tina, and she hung around this girl named Kim, and I was already getting fucked up at this time. Like, my dad grew weed, my friend's brother would make methaqualude, and it was pre-meth, and they would come in these little capsules, and I had the weed, and I would trade weed for the meth, and then it was like baby crack. It was pre-crack even, and you just get this rush. And then I would go to Safeway and buy a Craigmont soda and steal fifths of alcohol. So these two stoner chicks, Tina, I had the biggest crush on. She looked like something out of fucking, like, The Runaways. And her friend was equally as pretty as her, but with bleached blonde hair. And they wore ditto jeans and fucking Cherokee shoes. And they just fucking were like, man, they were beautiful. They came up to me, and I had a crew at this time of boys that I skateboarded with, because I always, you know, had this crew of people that I would skateboard with. And of course the boys are cute, you know. So she's like, Danielle, can you bring some weed to my party? You want to come to my party? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll bring weed, I'll bring whatever you want. So I've got my backpack, I filled it with, like, stole some weed from my dad, some coke, methaqualude, I had fifths of alcohol and Cremant sodas, slow gins, you know, like any kind of fifth. I mean, I was so good at stealing. And we got a ride up to Sky Blue, which was like this massive fucking hill. You can't really walk it. It's so fucking gnarly, you know, but you can drive. And we go to the party, and I just dump my backpack out. And they're just like, whoa. And I see Tina's face, and I'm like, yeah. But in my mind, Tina liked me. You know, in my mind, we were going to go out. In my mind, you know, it was on. I didn't know that gay was still bad. I didn't tell my friends I was gay, you know, because I was already kind of a weird kid anyways, cause just because I was masculine looking. And I remember just getting really fucked up, and she had like a fire pit, and Love Hurts from Nazareth came on the radio, the stereo. They were playing the record, Hair of the Dog. And I look across, and my friend Henry is making out with Tina. And I remember feeling that fucking lump in my throat and my stomach and my heart. Mm-hmm. I grabbed my Dogtown skateboard, and I bombed that hill. Hoping, and there, at the end of the hill is this fucking like light, like, you know, red light signal. And I was hoping it would stay red so that I would just get hit by a car. Because I was so heartbroken. And it's not like I could tell my homies, like, Henry, like, you fucking asshole, you know, because I was so closeted that I just wanted to take it out on myself. And the only thing I could think was bombing that hill and dying, you know. And I think that was the first heartbreak I ever experienced. And I don't know why it hurt so bad, you know. But I remember seeing Tina Monday morning at school, and she's like, oh, thanks for coming to the party. And I'm like, you fucking bitch. You know, like, you don't even fucking know. You have no clue. But I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. But walking away being like, fuck, man, I wish I didn't have to go to school anymore, you know. And then Henry, he ended up being like a jock the next year, you know, like not even skateboarding anymore. I'm like, I knew that guy was a pussy, fuck him, you know. But because Henry was on the football team, I thought that I should be on the football team. So my mom petitioned Santa Clarita, and I actually got on the football team. And I played. I went through Hell Week, and I didn't know this until I went to my 25th. I mean, I didn't graduate from high school, but I got invited to go to the 25th reunion. And my mom's all, look, I didn't pay for your prom or anything. You should go. I'm like, Mom, it's $180. I'll just sneak in. You know? Like, I'm not going to fucking pay for this shit. So I just sneak in. Yeah. You know, and like all these football players came up to me and they're all, Danielle, we're so sorry that, you know, the coach told us to beat you. Like, to literally, like, beat you.
Whoa.
You know? Because we had, like, they set up a game where the freshmen were going to play the varsity, and they just fucked me up. You know? And I ended up getting, like, cut anyways. Like, I didn't even have a fucking... They wouldn't even open the girls' locker room for me, so I had to take my clothes off, put my pads on, like, you know, behind a wall. You know, it was fucked. And this coach was a dick. He would tell the boys, and the boys told me, like, 25 years later, that, do you want a fucking dyke on your fucking... They didn't even know what a dyke was. Like, you know what I mean?
So they probably would have been fine with it if it weren't for the coach.
Yeah, because I was, like, I don't know. You know, because they're so young. The boys are so young, you know, and it's all about how they are.
Some of them were friends to you?
Well, they came up to me and they told me everything the coach had said.
Later.
They didn't tell me then. I would have killed him or did something to him. Oh. You know, and they were so... I mean, they went on to be this great team where they were, like, CIF championships. You know, they won. Like, you know, he was a great coach, but he also was a homophobe, you know.
And you were probably a good player, though. You would have been an asset, right? Or, like, things were going fine play-wise?
Yeah, but still, it was like, I wasn't a jock anyways. You know, yeah. I think it was just because I wanted girls. And I thought, like, girls like football players. You know what I mean? That's all.
That's pretty cool, though. You're probably the first girl on the football team.
Yeah, ever for Canyon High, you know? But, like, I never even made the team because after Hell Week I just said fuck this. You know,
because they beat you.
It was such you know. And I'm like, if I'm gonna hurt myself, I'm gonna hurt myself skateboarding. You know, like something that I love, or going to the ocean and surfing. You know, like I'm gonna do that. Like I'm not a fucking jock.
I know you wouldn't have, like, you didn't want to do it, but it's still kind of sucky because if he had been a different kind of coach, your whole life could have been different. You might have stayed on the team and you might have gone on to do other stuff than, like, gone on this other path, though. I mean, just, you might have.
Yeah, I mean...
You might have stayed in school, you might have gone to college, but that's all boring. Anyway,
yeah, that's... Then I wouldn't be here talking to you, like, without a job, fucking... you know what I mean? But... You know, but the good thing about it was that summer...
That's cool, your mom, too.
My mom was down, but I still didn't tell her I was gay. You know, because my dad was... I love my dad, you know, but they were quite abusive to me, you know. But there's no handbook for parents, you know what I mean? So, you know, I started fucking just really getting into skateboarding, and my homies that I had, not Henry, because he was on his football bullshit, but like... Avelino, Steve, like all these boys. I had like a crew of 8 guys, and there was this place called Sunset Pools where they used to build pools, but they went out of business, so they left their pools open, and there was all these different models, like kidney shape, you know, all these different models of pools that they didn't fill. So we would go and skateboard those pools, and we built ramps from the roof into the skateboard, you know. Nice. And there was this kid. He was 19, and I think I was 13 at the time. I still had long hair. And we'd bring a ghetto blaster and play like B-52s and like Devo and just skate, you know, drink beer, get high, you know. And this kid Randy comes up and he's like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Fucking new wave, dude, B-52. Like, fuck yeah. He's like, "This is some fucking tuna boat bullshit." I'm like, "Tuna boat bullshit?" He's all, "Yeah, man, new wave, fuck new wave." I'm like, "What do you want to hear?" He's all, "Put this tape on." It's fucking Air Supply.
Oh, no.
But he had taped over the holes, you know, when you could tape over the holes and re-tape over the tape. Mm-hmm. And I go, "What the fuck, Air Supply, dude?" He's like, "Put it in. Rewind it." It was the Germs.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God. It felt, because I was like that, you know that drunkenness where you're not quite drunk, but you're just like got that nice buzz that you keep chasing, but if you drink a little bit more, you're going to get too fucked up, but you're just right at the great moment of just being fucked up, you know? But you drink more because you think it's going to be better, but if you would have just stayed there, it would have been all right, you know? So I was there. Man, I skated so fucking good. And I told Randy after, I go, "What is this band?" He's like, "They're called the Germs." I'm like, "I never heard it before. It makes me feel like how I feel in my head, you know? Like, it's so great." He's all, "Yeah, man, that's Darby Crash." I'm like, I have to see this band, man." He's all, "You can't, Darby's dead." I'm like, and he's a homo. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he tried to butt rape me out in front of his grandma's house." I'm like, "He tried to butt rape you?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, he's all, "He's gay?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Me too, Randy." He's all, I knew that." I'm like, I go, "Randy, you're cool with that?" He's like, "Yeah. You're fucking cool, Danielle. Like, nobody should skate like you. You know, like, you're the only girl skater out here. Like, who the fuck skates like that?" You know, I'm like, I go, "I want to meet, you know, like, I wish I could have met Darby." And he's like, "Yeah, he was rad. I go, "How did he die?" He's like, "Of a heroin overdose." I'm like, "My real dad died of a heroin overdose." I go, "Where are they from?" He's all, "Hollywood." I'm like, "I must go to this place."